Welcome and thank you for tuning in to International Prolife Federation. Today I am your guest host and moderator, E.R. Spalding, and before we go any further, I would love to thank Ernestine Standberry, who is the show's producer and the senior network. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here with you and in your homes today. Whether you're viewing online or in the comfort of your own home, we have a jam-packed program for you today. We are here and speaking with women of power. Again, I'm E.R. Spalding, and I am an integration strategist for evolving leaders. And what that means is that we look at the whole composite of who you are, and we make sure that you have an opportunity to live at the intersection of purpose, passion, prosperity, and profit. With us today, we have a roundhouse of women. We have Miss Cleota Porter, who is a transformational leader, a heuristic teacher, professional trainer, and she is the president and founder of Gamliel Leadership, which is a 501c3 designed to advance the kingdom of God through building strong, influential leaders. In 2012, she launched Women of Significance Ministry, which is designed to revive purpose and awaken dreams in women. As a mentor and life coach to emerging leaders, she supports them in transforming and utilizing kingdom principles to create partnership, interdependence, and networking. And next, we have Shaquila Stewart, who is a model, a musical theater director, choreographer, and founder of Dreamer Studios, Inc., which is a performing arts center whose mission is to inspire the generation to dream, believe, and succeed against all odds through dance, theater, motivational speaking, and stage production. She has performed with Dreamer Studios workshops for Chicago Fitness Festival, Girls in the Game Organization, Black Fashion Week USA, and After School Matters. Recently, she was featured on ABC Wendy Live, and as a result of that, she has an opportunity to empower women through Walk This Way movement to conquer their fears and build confidence through the art of walking in heels. Next, Tanya Bigelow is a transformational coach, author, speaker, and physicist. While working in the financial services industry, Tanya went through a profound moment of self-discovery. She realized that if she kept doing what she was doing, that she would only get the exact same results, which was an unfulfilling career in corporate America. She utilized her training as a physicist and began to deeply explore metaphysics, which she utilizes today as a transformational success empowerment coach, who helps individuals replace their limiting beliefs to create businesses and lives that win. In addition to growing her own thriving businesses, Tanya Bigelow Enterprises and Trusted Wealth Builders, she is the founder of Our King's Kids, which is a nonprofit assisting youth in learning their true identity and building consciousness in their lives to become great corporate citizens. Lestine Muhammad is an educational coordinator at Mahdi Theater Company, a coach, and a tutor at Brain Hurricane LLC, which operates in after-school programs teaching reading and mathematics in the Chicago public school system. Founder and director of Voice Studio, which is a community outreach center for the performing arts, She is working on her doctorate degree in philosophy of education with a concentration in curriculum instruction and assessment to empower early learners ages 2 through 6 with the foundation or building a foundation in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics that have a musical genre instituted in there. Again, this is a power-packed panel of women. And why, might you ask, have we come together today? In addition to all of these women being dynamic in their roles as inspirational leaders, mothers, aunts, and transformational thought leaders, they are women of spirit. They are individuals who have had the ability to tap into their own internal power to create the transformation that we see and need in the world. You see, as women, we have found ourselves in a very precarious place. We have lost the ability to allow our authentic voices to stand in the forefront and be heard and acknowledged in a way where we are not constantly involved in an energetic battle to break through these glass ceilings and these invisible doors that we have. And so today, we're going to take this as an opportunity to look at some very historic individuals that have lived and graced the earth in our past to begin to bring us into the present, to understand truly who we are, whose we are, and how we can begin to tap into the power within to connect with other powerful women to be the change that we wish to see in the world. So ladies, it is my honor, it is my pleasure, and it is my privilege to moderate this discussion today. And I want to thank you in advance for taking some time out of your schedule to be here with our International Prolife Federation family. So welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So as we begin this discussion, there are some women that immediately jump to the forefront. I begin to think of women like Queen Esther, who lived thousands of years before you and I were born. I begin to think of Harriet Tubman, who had that long sojourn to freedom, who constantly went back and grabbed other individuals so that they would no longer be enslaved. I begin to think of women like Rosa Parks, who said no more. These bones are tired. And she allowed her spirit to rest on a bus and began a movement that has changed the trajectory of the African American experience. Like many of these women, each of you have had your own walk. And I'd like to start there, thinking about these women and keeping them in the forefront. Are there some similarities that you see in yourself, Cleota, like Queen Esther? And what would that be?
I think one of the key things that made Esther successful was her selflessness. She thought about the people more so than she did herself. And so she took her skills, her ability, her talent, beauty, which was in the forefront, to advance herself and not only to bring freedom to her people. When you think about what she gave and the cost of moving forward, you have to think about the culture that we live in today. And knowing that if you take our culture and compare it with hers, there are a lot of similarities in the sense that women are being denied, they're being held back. We're being put in positions where our beauty will carry us into some venues, but not allow us to get into others. Our intellectual ability many times is not considered. And so if you think about Esther, I would say a key to her success was selflessness. And I believe that in order for us to succeed in our day, in our generation, our time, we've got to begin to think about others more so than we do ourselves.
Absolutely. And one of the things, as you bring that up in terms of the selflessness of Esther, but she did consider herself. right? She considered
She
her
did.
spirit, and she consulted that.
Well, I think that it was the spirit within. I think it was the fact that she was awakened to who she was on the inside. And Mordecai had a lot to do with that. So because she awakened to who she was, there was a destiny, a purpose that God had placed in Esther long before she ever graced the earth with her presence. So once she came into knowledge of the person that she was on the inside, that she had been ordained to be, she realized it was greater than what she saw on the outside. And that her spirit man rising up on the inside to take its rightful place in her purpose and destiny, she was able to move forward.
Absolutely. One of the things that you mentioned was that Mordecai was a big part in her recognizing who she was. So Tanya, who are some of the influential individuals that supported you in awakening into the woman you are today?
Well, for me, we have an array of women that we could really, really use as a catalyst for me to be who I am today. And there were, celebrities. There were, first off, my mom. And then outside of that, there were specific women that had been strategically placed in my life that spoke life into me. Those women who saw the greatness in me before I could even acknowledge it in myself. I look at an example of a Rosa Parks who made the decision to take a stand. See, most people don't know that she wasn't just, that the bus movement wasn't just her first action in the movement. She had worked in the movement for 12 years before she was really, really acknowledged in that. So to look for women like that, to know that no matter what it is, whatever your purpose is, whatever your calling is, to just stay focused and to keep moving. And that one incident, that one situation, that one moment will give you an opportunity to express yourself and create a platform for the world to see.
Absolutely. So I hear perseverance in that, because you mentioned that Rosa, 12 years, right? She had been in the movement. She had been working and progressing civil rights. What if she had stopped before that time? Shaquila, what are some of the things in your life that it just took that one more step, right? You just had to go a little bit further, inch a little bit closer. That became your breakout moment. And how do you continue to inspire the women that you utilize through Walk This Way movement to show them, take that next step and do it in style?
Well, I started Walk This Way movement because in 2010 my mother passed away. And so I had to become a parent immediately. I had to adopt my 10-year-old brother and then my 19-year-old sister. I had to step into a whole new title all at once with no choice. And I had to do it immediately because I didn't want anything to happen to my siblings. And so then that's when I started my company and I was thriving. I started Dreamer Studios and I sought God for answers because I'm like, okay, God, I don't know what to do. What am I to do? And he said, it's going to be okay. Start your business now. And so I followed through and I had success. But the one thing that happened was, and most women do, you give. I was giving to the community. I was giving to my siblings. And so then I had an aha moment. And I said, you know what? I was able to adopt my brother and I was able to start a business without any guidance. Let me do something that I really want to do. What is it that I really want to do? I've conquered this obstacle, something that I necessarily didn't ask for. So let me use this same energy and go after something that I do want as well. And so that's how I started Walk This Way movement. And I wanted other women to know, go after the thing that you really want to do. Your obstacles in life are working as your strength. So walk this way with your chin up, your shoulders back, and your happy face, and let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. So that was my breakout moment. Like, you know what? I'm still young. I still like to have fun. And when I wear heels And I know most people think it's all about fashion, but no, it gives me confidence.
Sure.
To me, it's letting me know my obstacles are working as my strength.
Sure.
That's what the heel represents to me, is that
Yeah.
you walking through life obstacles like it's your runway, right? Because we're
That's
doing it
amazing.
every day.
Yeah.
Every day we're faced with a challenge as women, but we conquer it with no questions asked. So it's like, you have a problem that you can solve in the earth, why not go after it and conquer it as well? So that was my breakout moment, my obstacle working as my strength.
Right. And you were able to take the mess that you saw and turn it into a message
Yes.
and deliver that message to other women.
Yes.
And as you refer to your heels and walking in heels, I think about Harriet Tubman, who didn't have heels,
Right.
but she had to walk through the swamps.
Right.
Come on, in the mire.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And she stated, but there is something that is greater in me that I have to continue. And not only did she go and get herself out, but she turned around and 19 documented times did she go back to the South
Right.
and bring other enslaved, because she didn't believe in slavery, right? She believed that there was an enslavement, right? And she went back and got those individuals who were enslaved that stated, I am going to be free,
Right.
right? What was so dynamic about Harriet Tubman is she had to create partnership,
Sure.
which is what we do so well as women. We collaborate with
Yes.
each other to create the necessary components. Because it wasn't like we're just walking from 75th Street to 73rd, right? That 2-mile block or that 2-block where she had to traverse was laced with individuals who were looking to kill her, looking to maim her, destroy. So now you have to look at an individual who you don't know, and you have to source your spirit and allow the spirit to fill you and that energy to create that connection that says, I can partner with you. Even though you do not look like me, I can trust you. I'll hide in the basement in this underground railroad. So Ernestine, as you are moving through and connecting with individuals and supporting youth in understanding science, technology, musical arts, who are the individuals that you have been able to connect to that don't look like you, that may not necessarily have your same belief or religion? How do you begin to create partnership there so that you can powerfully get the message out to the children that they matter and that their voices matter?
Well, you know, as we've mentioned in our talks, that there is a vast number of women that we could highlight and pinpoint and what have you in order to define our journey. And most women that I've looked at, I have extracted points of courage, fearlessness, and tenacity. And may I go back, please, to Harriet Tubman?
Sure.
Yes. Early on in her youth, you know, she was afflicted by a torture, literally, that came upon her that affected her mentally, and it constantly put her in a position. It affected her brain, and she would drift off to sleep at any given time. But instead of looking at that as an impediment, she used it as a tool, and she used it in order to then begin to plan out and strategize. How can I effectively bring myself up out of this state, place myself where I know that our Creator meant for me to be, and not stop there, but then bring the same thing back for the joy and the redemption of others, as you said, time and time again. May I also mention that something that is with we as particularly Black women, frankly, and Black people in our DNA, we unfortunately have from years gone by still the mental chains of slavery, bondage, torture, and just a feeling of trepidation. And we have to bring courage from within in order to overcome that all the time. How mostly do we do that? As you mentioned, your mother, your sweet mother, the attachment that we have to that first woman that has been within our lives. And then we take that characteristic on and we pass it on to one another so that we can connect in a spirit-filled way with one another in order to make life to continue. I enjoy doing that with the little children of the world. I love working with the children because they are so close to the purity of that spirit at very, very early ages. And once we make it at a point where they can communicate that, oh my, then they begin to abound in that just uncovers limitless knowledge that they have. Thus the science, the technology, the engineering, and the math. It has been proven scientifically, but even more so, it is embedded in us spiritually. And that's why I work with the children in the musical genre, and it works so well. It works so well.
Wow.
Because
great.
music is as much a science
Correct.
as it is an art.
Absolutely.
When you think about the syncopated beats and the
Yes,
rhythm,
yes,
like,
yes.
there's so much,
Yes.
what's the word that I'm trying to say? I can't think of it right now, but there's definitely a science to the way that you go about the arts,
Yes.
even though it's coming from a very creative place.
Absolutely.
And every woman that's sitting up here on this panel, you all have had great contributions into society and the impact that you have. What are some of the things that you do to begin to tap into your spiritual side to allow her to come to the forefront, to lead and guide you where you need to be, whether it's in the arts with children, as a transformational coach, working with women to uncover their confidence and walk in heels, and being that transformational leader that empowers individuals to come forth utilizing kingdom principles? What are some of the things that you all do, your practices? Because we talked about strategies, right?
Yes.
There's a strategy
Yeah.
that Harriet had to think
Yes.
about,
Yes.
right? Knowing that
Yes.
she was
Yes.
narcoleptic,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And could
Yes.
fall asleep at any
Yes.
time.
Yes.
There was a strategy. Queen Esther just didn't, wake up
No,
and
she
go to
didn't.
her husband and
That's
say,
right.
free my people, right?
Yes.
She didn't do that. Rosa Parks, even though she sat down there, she was a tactician. And for 12 years, she had been working in her craft. So what have you ladies been able to develop as a practice for yourselves to tap into your spirit?
Well, as for me, I pray. I pray and meditate the Word of God. And from then I get into the realization, I've come to the realization that I am spirit, I have a soul, and I live in a body. So as I have come to know God as my creator, as the empowerment that's on the inside, I'm able to walk into a greater realization of who I am. And that comes from a consistent relationship, a consistent time of fellowship, to know that I have my destiny did not just happen when I got here. I was destined before I got here.
Yes.
And then when I
Yes.
stepped
Yes.
over into my divine purpose that God has for me, purpose unfold. So then I was able to, as Harriet Tubman, step out on my journey.
Yes.
And that journey will take you from here to eternity as long as you follow that path.
Yes.
So I gained strength from the inner peace that's on the inside and the spirit that I am, indwelt by the Holy Spirit. So when I think of moving forward, that's the whole thing with my Women of Significance that God gave me to give birth to in 2012.
Yes. Yes.
I had been out in ministry dealing with women from all cultural backgrounds. But what I found was a common thread of women performing and yet being disillusioned once they stepped off of that platform.
Got it.
So how then do you allow them to gain strength from the real person on the inside, as opposed to going forward performing and never realizing who you are yourself? And so that's when we gave birth to women of significance, allowing them to know that you are significant. If we look at the Bible, you'll see and understand every time the Lord wanted to get something great into the earth, he needed a woman.
Yes, that's right.
Even though man was first created, he needed a woman. When he needed to establish the nation of Israel, he needed Sarah. When he needed to cause Barak to be successful in battle, he needed Deborah. When he needed his people delivered, he needed Esther. When Jesus was to come forth in the earth, he needed a Mary. So every time there was a shift or revolutionary change in the earth, God needed a woman. So we needed to then regain our significance, which was lost in the fall, in the very beginning, because they were definitely supposed to be one and not separated. So even in our own culture, many of our movements brought in division, particularly when we start the women's movement, the women, the suffrage and so forth and things like that. They put us on a back burner. So we became accustomed to that custom. And so we felt comfortable in those seats. And even though they pushed us towards the back, we allowed it to be so. Now I believe that this is a time that the women are coming forward. And we have to step up in our rightful place with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of who we are, whose we are, and how to be able to accomplish what God has destined us before the foundation of the world.
Got that.
May I share that, bringing it even into a more personal light, I don't have any brothers and sisters. And well early on, I would have feelings of disconnect. So when I founded Your Voice Studio, a community outreach center for the performing arts community, as I grew into an adolescent, a young lady, I was reaching out to bring people into my community. And I found that, of course, all of mankind is a wonderful thing, but I had to reach out to whom I knew. And there were women throughout my life that had that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, a nation can rise no higher than its woman. That's not as you're indicating, that's not something new. That is something that is always and will always be. And I think that's what's going to continue to drive us as we continue to build up the world back to its necessary place.
Absolutely. And I want to thank each and every one of you. I feel so filled up, right, in my spirit. And that is why we are here and engaged in this very important dialogue. When I think of spirit and begin to allow that to unfold, for me, it is the essence of all that was, all that is, and all that will forever be. So that connection that Lestine spoke of, right? We need to be connected as women. When we think about how great movements begin to start and move into place, as Cleota pointed out, it came through a woman.
Yes, it did.
What is that spirit? How do we continue to walk this way and move in our divine appointments? How do we create the metaphysical relationships with ourselves, right? So that we can blend our spirit with the essence of our humanity and powerfully step forward and continue on the journey that God, universal source, the divine, whichever way you connect to that spirit within. And this is what Strength Finders is all about. On January 26, 2017 at 5 p.m. at the Beverly Branch Library, we will continue this very important discussion, because there has to be a time out with individual women moving in silos. The realization that we matter and we connect, and it is the very essence of who we are and what we are charged with in terms of creating sustainable communities, sustainable economies, healing our families, and doing the work that must be done, these are the discussions that we need to dialogue in. These are the women who we will be doing it with, right? And you, as a woman sitting out there in our audience of the International Prolife Federation, we invite you to come out with us. Thank you again, Ernestine Standberry, for being the show's producer. And again, Senior Network for being here with us. I would like to thank this esteemed panel of guests that we have with us, in addition to our studio audience. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.